The 49ers went into Philadelphia and snatched the hearts of the defending champion Eagles. How did they do it? We're going to go drive by drive next. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast, part of the Pro Football Insiders. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. That man is Vish Kumar. And Vish, how are you feeling on yet another Victory Monday?
Well, first I got to start off with happy birthday, young man. You're
Thank
like
you.
Benjamin Button over there. You don't look a day older than, I won't say a number after that. I'll leave it at that. Open interpretation. But how do I feel? I've never felt better. That was all-time exciting. What a freaking playoff win. Let's go. To just give it to Big Dom. Like, oh, yeah, Big Dom, especially because he got that stupid highlight. That's right, Big Dom. Suck it, Big Dom.
Big Dom, more catches in the second half than A.J. Brown. Womp, womp. If you're new to the show, thank you. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. This is where we go drive by drive through the Niners game of the week, and we break down what happened, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Just a quick heads up, I may have to hop off. I'm on dad duty tonight because my wife's out of the house. My daughter is not feeling good. We may have a throw-up situation. I don't know what's going on, but I will tell you that the Tupperware container that we call the puke bucket in my house is being employed right now, so I may have to hop out. Just fair warning for everybody.
You do what you need to do, man. We're like the 49ers. We'll roll with the punches tonight.
All right, well, let's dive right into it then, man. First drive right out of the gate. After Christian McCaffrey gets stuffed on first down, Brock Purdy drops back to pass, hits Demarcus Robinson over the middle. Robinson gets a block from George Kittle and rumbles 61 yards down the field. And 2 plays into the game in a hostile environment, a week after they only scored 3 points against the Seahawks, and bam, the Niners are already more explosive than they were a week previous.
Yep, this was a great throw. I wanted to start that off because Purdy had kind of a gutsy performance, and people will point to, well, he had 2 turnovers in this game. And of course, we'll talk about the game-winning drive. But I thought he did 2 things like phenomenal yesterday. One was how he threw the ball through the wind. It was really tough conditions to throw the ball, and Purdy was just letting that thing rip, and he was throwing darts. And this was an example. He fired that sucker. It was right on Robinson. And then the second thing was, and to me, this kind of combines into the first thing in a way, and it's its own thing. It's the pocket movement. Getting yourself out of a 7-yard sack and, getting 2 yards, being able to run yourself out of trouble, throw the ball away, live another down. He was magical moving in the pocket. And within that, to win in the playoffs, you're going to be essentially under pressure every play. You just got to stand back there, and they're going to be really close to you. And you got to just stand super tall, super big in that pocket and just let that thing rip. And they were all around Purdy, and he was just standing back there and letting that thing rip. And that's how you go win a playoff game on the road. And this was a perfect example on the first play. And great run after catch by Robinson. No, I thought he could have scored. I don't want to be that guy, but I thought he could have scored. But great play from Robinson.
Which they have really not used Demarcus Robinson. I don't think he had more than 44 yards in any game all year. And bam, right out of the gate, 61 yards. So,
well, he did come on at the end of the year, and to me, it was fascinating because he was a guy you and I highlighted in preseason. Like, I think he's going to be pretty good as their number 3 receiver. And then more expectations came back because there was a point this season where we were like, yeah, Demarcus Robinson's coming back from injury, and that's huge for the 49ers. And then he didn't necessarily live up to the whole Demarcus Robinson is coming back from injury. But he slowly picked up at the end of the year. He had the touchdown in the Bears game. He's been coming along, and then this game he exploded. You need someone to do this in a playoff game. You need someone to take advantage of an opportunity in front of them, and boy, did Demarcus Robinson do that.
So then Christian McCaffrey makes an incredible leaping catch on second down, skying for the first down, catching the ball, and 2 plays later, they run a fake jet sweep, fake pitch, throw to Demarcus Robinson in the back of the end zone. As soon as I saw that play, I was like, uh-oh. Playoff Kyle is here, and he's in his bag.
Oh, 100%. And when I saw that play, Rob, I felt like it was what we talked about at the end of last week. everything you got. You whatever fake reverse, whatever like trick plays, like this is the game you bring it to. I said fake punt, and that was more of a joke in between us because we know the Niners don't have a fake punt with them, and they're never going to do that as long as Kyle Shanahan's the coach. But this was what I meant. Like, this is going to be a really hard defense for you to just operate your offense against. They're just way too good in all three levels. You have to throw a curveball of everything they expect. And the game-winning touchdown is a curveball of what you expect the Niners to normally do. But this is the Kyle Shanahan masterpiece. When you finally think that he's zigging, he will zag himself. It's almost like he studies himself and understands his own tendencies as well as he understands you and how you're going to defend him. And that unique combination is why his offense can remain philosophically the same. There's 21 personnel wide zone base from 2007. And against every evolution of the NFL, he's got an answer. It's because he knows the weaknesses of his offense as well as he knows yours.
And so the Niners get the early lead in Philadelphia exactly the way they wanted to start this game. They come out, they stick it in the end zone. Red and gold blooded says Kyle's play design for the touchdown was awesome. Iceman 0072, thank you for the super chat, says Vish was right. Defense had to be better than bad, which they were, LOL. Also, Garrett Wallow, unsung hero, along with Kendrick. We're going to get to the linebackers in this game and Kyle said it afterwards, they didn't just fill in and play. They were really good.
Oh, do you want to just do that right now?
Yeah, jump off.
We might as well right before we get into this drive. Like, they played unbelievably well. The Niners haven't had a veteran in this middle of this defense since Fred Warner. That's been obvious. But the difference it makes in terms of his coverage drops, his zone depths, understanding what route concepts, how they're attacking him, how he can get advantage and take away the first read, just the savviness of being a veteran. I think one of the least talked about national talking points is the new salary structure in the NFL. If you haven't noticed, 28, 29-year-old defensive players, especially ones that made a lot of money in their second contract, struggle to find work. And it's because the NFL doesn't want to pay them those veteran salaries or pay them that third long-term contract. And so what they do is they make an Eric Kendricks be on a practice squad and will activate you for 3 games, and we'll keep Tatum Bethune on our active roster because it's much cheaper to pay Tatum Bethune over the course of the year than it is to pay Eric Kendricks. It's really underrated. I think it's why the product is so bad in September and October and stuff, because a lot of these veterans aren't finding work. If you want to wonder, like Justin Simmons, these sorts of guys, this is what you go through when you're looking for that third contract above age. And we're seeing Eric Kendricks is still absolutely capable of playing, especially compared to what the Niners have been putting on the field at linebacker. And then I thought Wallow was the freshest player on the field. He was the spryest, most athletic, like most ready to go, ready to hit player on the field. And I think the cool thing for Wallow is your first start, you're coming in against, completely fresh against Philly, in Philly. Like, are you going to play fast? And he played with no hesitation and just let that sucker go and let it loose. And he comes with bad intentions to hit, and he's very athletic. And that's a great combination for this defense. What a job by Robert Saleh, getting them in the right mentality to play this game and getting them to push aside what happened versus Seattle, what happened versus Chicago, and just focus on what they needed to do to win this game.
Robert Saleh, Johnny Holland, linebackers coach, should get some love too. Kyle Posey has a great tweet for the audio listeners. Eric Kendricks did not miss a tackle in the wild card round or week 18. It's the first time all year that a starting linebacker went 2 successive games for the 49ers without missing a tackle, and that includes Fred Warner. Kendrick had 6 run stops, only Warner's 7 in week 3 topped that number. Incredible job by the 49ers linebackers in this game, which we'll talk about as we get further along.
And I guess one thing we noticed, right, with the linebackers playing a lot better, the defensive line, Philly, granted, this was a year that they didn't have the best offensive line, and we saw the Niners' interior D-line actually won the battle in a lot of ways against Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, and co. But the Niners' defensive line, especially the interior with Alfred Collins, Big Jordan Elliott, who has had a career year by his standards, Kalia Davis, CJ West, who's really, really come along. It's not so bad. The edges aren't great, but versus the run, they still are big and they're hard to move, and they're going to have to bring that versus Seattle this week.
So Philly gets the ball back, and they want to start their drive down the field. They start with Saquon Barkley as well. And just like the 49ers, on the second play from scrimmage for the offense, they break out a big gain. Saquon Barkley runs to the right. He gains 29 yards. Thought it was really interesting on this play. And Brady pointed it out. I thought Brady had a very good game. Deommodore Lenoir is supposed to have the edge on this play, and he kind of bounces to the inside because Saquon goes to the inside, and then Barkley just hops back outside, and Lenoir is just not there, and he runs for 29 yards. But later in the game, Philly goes back to this play. They're trying to get Lenoir again, and Lenoir doesn't get caught inside. He adjusts, and he tackles Barkley for a short gain, which was a hell of a play by him. But in this case, on this drive, it helped the Eagles get into scoring range.
Yeah, I love the way you explain that. And I think this has been something for Lenoir that's been a little underrated this whole year, which is it's not the tackling in the sense that he misses so many tackles when he's attempting them. It's this kind of thing where he should be in a spot to make a tackle and he runs himself out of the spot. That's been a problem for this defense. And I love that they coached it, he adjusted it, he fixed it. That's what you really want to see. Because the reality is, Rob, if you don't mind me making a tangential point to this that's not about Saquon Barkley's 29-yard run. Ideally, you want playoff games to be at a level where you have the perfect plan, you execute everything, and you go blow them out. But oftentimes what happens is you go through the first quarter, you don't really know what they're going to bring. You've watched 17 weeks of tape. You don't really know what they're going to really focus on of the things they do to really attack you. You have an idea of what you want to do to them, but you want to feel it out and see what that plan is. And you ride with the punch, right? Like maybe you weren't expecting them to do this. They go down the field and score real quick. Now you got to adjust things a little bit. But that riding with the punch is the key. Can you just keep executing, move on to the next play? Can you just deal with what happens? Because it's not going to go perfect. It's going to be you thought you had a great plan, and then you have a completely shitty call. They're all over what you're doing, and they get an interception, 12:05. Sorry, Rob. Continuing on. And that's going to happen. And what the Niners defense did and what the Niners did as a football team and what Brock Purdy did was just on to the next play. How do we win the next play? How do we win the next play? And eventually you keep winning the next play enough. Next thing you know, you win the game. And it's an unbelievable mindset. It's really hard to have. It's really hard to maintain that focus. It's really hard to say, well, this bad thing just happened, but I'm going to keep my focus because we still have a chance to win this game. There's still 8 minutes left in this game, even though I have 2 interceptions. It's really hard to set those things aside. The Niners did an unbelievable job of that as a football team. And that's Kyle Shanahan. He set aside Seattle. That started the moment of the press conference when he said, yeah, this sucks. This isn't the road we wanted, but we got to get ready to go play a playoff game. He was pissed, and boy, did he set it aside and get them ready. That's great leadership, great coaching, and that's how you go win a freaking playoff game, Rob Guerrero. Can I say it again? Come on, let's go on to the 5-yard run by Saquon Barkley.
Feels great, baby. The 29-yard run by Saquon, longest play of the day for the Eagles. Longest run for Saquon, longest play right there on the second play from scrimmage. So the Eagles continue to work the ball down the field. They get to the red zone, and just like the 49ers, they had a special play ready to go. They run a nice little jet sweep with Dallas Goedert. Niners linebackers sort of get caught up in the laundry, in the wash, I should say, and Philly scores the touchdown. But, Vish, and this would be big, they miss the extra point. Jake Elliott doink off the upright. And for the 49ers, you're like, we still got the lead. So it was like, even though our defense did the thing that we were worried about our defense doing, they still had the lead, and the offense is getting the ball back, and they're not playing from behind.
Yeah, totally. And it was almost like, man, everybody's been telling us their offense struggled. I've seen them struggle, but they have way too many good players. And it was like, oh, here we go. That was way too easy. They go down the field. And you're right. The one underrated thing about this game was that Pinheiro hadn't missed a kick, and Jake Elliott, who has been excellent for them in the playoffs, had really been struggling down the stretch of this year. And this was a tough place to kick. I don't want, like we talked about it with how Brock Purdy threw. The wind was a factor in this game. It was very windy. They kept talking about it. Brady had that nice breakdown of how you throw in the wind. And ultimately, Yeah. And ultimately, Rob, Jake Elliott misses this kick, which to your point, I feel like that momentum of like, hey, then we're playing with the lead is really important to this team. Like when
Hmm.
we talk about the psyche of who they are, it's not that they can't play from behind, but that early confidence of we're ahead, we're in our groove, our plan is working. Like they believe in their coach and they believe that their coach will help them win. And part of that is, hey, we have an early lead because our coach is smarter than your coach. He got us ready to go for this. We know what you're going to do.
So Niners get the ball back and they don't do anything with it. They go 3-and-out and they punt, Vish. And this began a really not great day by the 49ers special teams. For one of the few times all year, Thomas Morstead punts just 35 yards. Now, I know there's wind, but there's other things that happen special teams wise. But he punts it, so Philly takes over at the 32-yard line. And they try to get the run game going too. And to the 49ers' credit, they're finding a way to bring down Saquon Barkley. They can't really do anything with it. Philly is driving down the field. It finally gets to a 4th-and-2 situation at the 48-yard line. And I count the ways that the Eagles offense screwed up in this one, Vish. 4th-and-2, instead of doing a tush push, they go shotgun and they drop back to pass. And who makes one of the most beautiful plays of the game? But your boy, Upton Stout, rookie in the slot, jumps the little out route. He was all over it, doesn't hold the defender, doesn't jump on him too early, doesn't even really make contact with the receiver, and breaks the pass up. And all of a sudden, the 49ers have the ball back, and they have a stop on this Eagles offense.
Yeah, I want to say one thing before we talk about the Stout play. The Samo stop on 3rd-and-2 was a phenomenal play. He's one-on-one with the tackle. He bench presses him out and just makes a great tackle on Saquon Barkley. I was like, oh, man, okay. Like, okay, Niners defense, you got a little something to you. And then this play by Upton Stout, Rob, I don't want to toot my own horn because I feel like when you and I've learned this when you have to talk about the Niners every single week, like some things, work out. You say something and it ends up happening. And then sometimes you say something and you look like the biggest idiot in the world. And I feel like this year has been one of those years where I've said a few things and those few things have worked out in my favor. And one of those things was the development of Upton Stout, Alfred Collins, these guys over the end of the season. We talked about, how rough week 1 was for Upton Stout. People are going to be attacking him. And I said after the game, he's got a lot of responsibility. It's a lot for him to mentally process, and it's hard to play fast. But let's see how he's going to play at the end of the year. And he's figured it out. He's played enough snaps where he gets it. He gets what his role is. He gets where he is positionally. He's their stickiest man coverage player. He is their best man coverage player. He is the stickiest. He's got the best hips. He accelerates the best. He challenges the ball best. He's most confident with the ball in the air. He is that. And now he's added the open field tackling. He knows when to trigger. He knows when to go. He's playing with great confidence. He is going to be a star. He's going to be one of the 3 or 4 best players on this defense. He's a lot like K'Wan Williams. He's really a lot like K'Wan Williams.
Good, because we need it desperately. So the Niners get the stop, and this was one of the opportunities where they had to really take control of the game, and they didn't quite do it in a couple different spots in this one. They get the ball back, they go 3-and-out, and this was something I should have mentioned on the Niners' first possession, because the longest gain of this possession was 2 yards. Brock Purdy scrambled for 2 yards on 3rd-and-9. Almost all day, when the 49ers scored, they got an explosive play from somebody. They had 4 scoring drives on the day. 3 of those 4 scoring drives, they got an explosive play, and that's what helped them get points on the board. The only drive, ironically, where they didn't get an explosive play was the last scoring drive of the day, the game-winning touchdown that Brock Purdy threw to Christian McCaffrey. But they, all day, were really thriving on a big play to pick up a chunk of yardage to really help take the pressure off that offense.
Well, and I didn't know that off the top of my head, and I'm not surprised just thinking about the matchup because what Vic Fangio has built and steadied his defense around for years philosophically is make the offense execute down the field. We're going to play zone coverage. We're going to play too high. You're not going to beat us over the top. And we don't think with the way we're coached, the way we play our zones, the way we rotate our coverage, and how frankly, how much talent they have on defense that offenses are capable of executing down the field. And it's very hard to trick them with the way they play to get explosives. They don't give them up a lot. And that's why their defense is so good statistically. That's why it's won them so many games over the last 2 years. That's why they had, I don't know, 3 All-Pros on their defense. Was that what it was? But there's a boogeyman. There's a guy who's different. There's a guy who's maybe the best coach calling plays we've seen in a very, very long time, just with the way he dominates the game as a play caller. And this game is an example of he scouted himself to know how they would defend him and what they would expect from him. And then he had a zag to everything he's been doing to create explosive plays. And we talked about it, Rob. This was the unload the kitchen sink game, right? Like bring the fake punts to the game. This was it. They unloaded the kitchen sink. This was all-time creativity. And it's good because there's a different way they need to go about it to beat Seattle. It's very different from Philly, even though it's once again a really stout defense, excellent defensive line. Those parts are the exact same, but that I don't think that's a kitchen sink game, Robert.
Well, oh, okay. I think you're the only person that's ever called you
formal with you. You're an elder man.
So Niners punt the ball, and this time Thomas Morstead does a good job and punts the ball to the Eagles' 6-yard line. Yay, Thomas Morstead, way to redeem yourself. But then here comes Philly again. They're back on the attack. A.J. Brown actually holds on to the ball and makes a catch for 7. Saquon Barkley gains 7. Devontae Smith gets a pass for 9 yards. And I'm starting to think, oh, man. Okay, here we go. Now the Eagles are doing their thing. They've seen the Niners defense. They're going to adjust, and they start moving down the field. But then they get in their own way. Incomplete on 1st and 10. 2nd and 10, they throw a short pass to Devontae Smith for 1 yard. Jair Brown comes flying in and smashes him.
Great play.
Jair Brown. 3rd and 9, they get a false start. So then it's 3rd and 14, and I've talked about it a million times. When you have the other team behind the sticks, this Niners defense has to make a play. But they did what they always do, Vish. They go super soft, and they just give up yardage basically for free, and the Eagles gain 14 of the 15 yards they need, so then they can push it for the 1st down on 4th down.
Can I clarify one thing with that?
Yes.
I don't think they go super soft as much as they just have no ability to get pass rush. They have no ability to like disrupt the quarterback, anything. Like that guy gets to sit back there and, lick a lollipop. Like it's just like that. It's one of those things. And so it's like, if you blitz him and you're the idiot that gives up a 60-yard touchdown on 3rd and 14, everybody's like, what are you doing? You're the biggest idiot play caller of all time. If you play normal zone coverage, which I think is what the Niners do with reasonable depth, and no pass rush ever gets home, which is what happens, even Jalen Hurts can occasionally complete a throw against you. And he's really struggled completing throws this season,
as he did in this game. Now, after the tush push, the 49ers did something that they did all half, really into the 3rd quarter, is set a timeout on fire, because they called their first timeout with 11 minutes to go in the 2nd quarter. They were awful with the timeouts in this one, as we'll get to as we continue to break down. So the Eagles drive continues. Jalen Hurts hits Saquon Barkley for 20 yards. Nice play by Saquon. And who makes the tackle that maybe saves the touchdown on that play? Eric Kendricks. Thank God he didn't miss a tackle all day, because if he didn't tackle Saquon on that, he may have taken it to the house. Luckily, he did. Eagles drive continues. They are picking up chunk plays. Tank Bigsby's coming in. All of a sudden, we can't stop Tank Bigsby. He's getting carries left, right, and center. And eventually gets down to 4th and 2. Dallas Goedert. Nice little play from the Eagles. Hurts kind of rolls out, hits Dallas Goedert, and he runs into the end zone. Touchdown, Philly.
Yeah, and I felt like that drive disheartened me more than the first one, because that drive, it felt like the Niners were putting up a stand, and each time it was like, Philly just has a little more talent. The Niners just don't have a good player in that spot. And that's how it was like, oh, man, is this going to be just one of those games where it's like, I know Philly isn't doing that like well, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, because I understand to beat any NFL team you have to do things well. But like when you watch a team play the Niners, right, there's a team that's just lighting them up, where it's like the Niners can't stop that. And then it's like, man, the Niners defense is playing good, but it's like A.J. Brown breaks 5 tackles and scores a touchdown, and they don't have players who can stop that. And I
Right.
thought that drive was a little bit of that, where it's like, yeah, we get them to 3rd and 14, and then it's like Devonta Smith is really hard to cover, and he just goes up and catches everything that's contested and brings it down. Great body control. And then it's like the tush push is the dumbest, worst play, the worst thing to watch in football. And I was like, I secretly thought the Niners had some secret plan where they were going to like stop the tush push. Well, yeah, no, that was a 3-yard gain. And so that's what that drive was. And for them to go down the field like that, it was like, oh, okay. Like I felt at this moment, Rob, going into this next drive, like Niners offense has to score. Niners offense has to score, or this is going to be like bad. Like they need to score. They're not getting the ball at the start of the second half. Like I was looking at the clock, everything, and I was like, this is a must-score drive.
And once this drive happened, or after this drive happened, I was like, this feels like the Seattle game and like the Houston game where the offense, was having a little trouble and the other team's offense is chewing up the clock. And I started to get a little nervous. Are you surprised the Eagles didn't go for 2? Because they missed the PAT on the first touchdown.
Honestly, again, generally, I don't see the obsession with like going for 2 at that spot, but that's just because I've watched football a certain way for so many years. Am I surprised the Eagles specifically, as analytically married as they've been in years past, and how aggressive Sirianni used to be, which completely changed this year, by the way, which was also its own weird thing. Am I surprised they didn't do it? Yeah, that I'm surprised about them specifically. But I feel like should you go for 2? Should you not go for 2? There's some spots where to me it's very obvious. There's other spots where it's like, well, then you can just argue, why kick it all? Like go for 2 every time at this point.
Oh, you can make that argument. But okay.
Oh, God, you're one of those guys. Come on, statistics.
Niners get the ball back. And first play of the possession, Vish. Brock Purdy drops back to pass. He finds George Kittle.
Do we have to?
We have to. 6-yard gain, and Kittle doesn't get up after the tackle. And I'm like, oh, no. And I'm looking at the replay. I'm looking at his knees. I'm looking at his ankle. Like, what did it bend? Did it twist? What happened? And then I see his calf ripple. And we all know when you see that calf pop like that and you see the guy grab the bottom of his leg right behind the heel area, you know what that is. It is an Achilles injury. Kyle Shanahan said after the game they knew it before the cart even came out that it was an Achilles. There's a picture, I don't know if you've seen it, of Kyle hugging George Kittle on the field or on the cart, and Kyle's face. You could see it in Kyle's face, Vish. And George Kittle afterwards posted to his Instagram, football sucks sometimes, but I love it. I love these guys and this team. Heartbroken, but it felt so much love and support from everyone reaching out. I'll be good. Thank you. We aren't done yet. Also, when your team owner is the first person to meet you in the locker room, you know you're in a special place. Cheers, all my love. Just a devastating injury, Vish, and I couldn't help but think, did we just witness another Navarro Bowman moment with a devastating injury in the playoffs to one of our stalwart guys who I hate to be a bummer, but he may never be the same after this.
Yeah, he may never be the same. There's a lot to that. I don't think it's Bowman because Bowman ripped up his knee at a time when he was 26 years old and maybe the defensive player of the year. Like George Kittle has had a great long career as a successful Niner. And I think the other thing is Bowman's game was built around speed. I think Patrick Willis was the fastest linebacker in football, but I think Bowman was the quickest. That 10-yard Brock Purdy split, Bowman probably had that number 1 in the NFL. It was mean acceleration. Kittle's game is built a little more on just his explosiveness and acceleration. So I think while Kittle may never be the same, that part is probably a fact. I think there's more to work with Kittle coming back from an Achilles injury than there was with Bowman at that time. I think they're also at different points in their prime career, etc. And to your point about the injury, I originally thought it was just his ankle. Like when they first showed the replay, I was like really focused on the taped up ankle to see like, did it somehow get caught, turn, and then you don't even notice the other leg until you just see it straighten and you're like, oh. And yeah, I love the way he takes it in stride. I've said it a few different times, and I think there's never been a time to reiterate it. When you build a culture from 2017, you need players to live what your culture is. 49ers culture lives and breeds because of number 85. It lives and breeds because he was a first-team All-Pro in 2018 and then let them build an offense around Deebo Samuel and then let them build an offense around Christian McCaffrey. He let them do that, being the original star of this offense. He's the one who doesn't complain. He's the one who blocks. He's the one who puts blocking first. He's the one who prioritizes them being a running team. You can coach it. You can say, I want to get 30 runs, but your players have to really believe in it as a philosophy. And everybody on this team believes in it because number 85 believes in it wholeheartedly. And so that impact can never be replaced. And I think in the Seattle game specifically as well, like we're going to hopefully touch on it a little bit. There were some things I learned. I felt like from that first matchup that's imperative for the Niners. And to me, the number one thing that you would love to have George Kittle for, if you want this kind of game, like I'll give you a quick preview of what I think for Seattle, Rob. They got to punch him in the mouth. This is a game with Seattle where, like, when you look at the offense and defense matchup, what they learned in the second matchup is Seattle's too fast and too smart and too well coached for them to do all the displacement and move them laterally and all the motion. They'll run them down to the sideline. What they got to do, and this is what nobody's done to Seattle yet, and that's why I think the Niners got a chance to do them, is hit them in the mouth. The reason they're able to sit all pretty and too high and play nickel against 21 personnel and do all this bullshit is because they have defensive linemen. Sorry, Rob, 30-31. They have defensive linemen who are very unselfish and very big. And when you have Byron Murphy and Tank Lawrence and Leonard Williams, and those guys just play their gaps in the run game, they don't play for stats, and they're very hard to move, and they do their job. That's how you build a really good defense. They've been the bully this whole year. Nobody has hit Byron Murphy and punched him in the mouth. If I'm the Niners, I'm giving Jake Brendel every smelling salt I can and saying, why not us? Why not that first run? Let's move him. Let's scare him a little bit. Big Leonard Williams is a bully. He's a bully. Why not have Spencer Burford or Dominic Pooney? Why not bully him first? That's going to be the game plan for the Niners. You got to hit him in the mouth. You got to come with your offensive line and be like, we're going to go right at you. You think you're so big that nobody's going to come at you and run down your throat in between the tackles? That's what they found out the drive they had success. We need to come downhill against them. That's what I think the game is going to be about. Man, wouldn't you want George Kittle for a game like that? Wouldn't you love to have George Kittle? But, man, guess who's coming back? The biggest bully in all of football. He's going to be here this time around.
This is the thing that I was amazed at, though. So Kittle has the injury, right? And you're like, oh, my God, we're losing. Now Kittle is out. And you could start to see, right? Like, this is the one, the nail in the coffin. This is the blow that finally kills us. And instead, like he has done in his entire career, when the 49ers' hopes were low, Brock Purdy comes back like Gandalf the White in Return of the King, and he throws immediately a deep pass to Juwan Jennings, who catches and runs for 44 yards. Like right the first play without Kittle. Brock Purdy, once again, guys, get on my back. I got this. And all of a sudden, the Niners go from the 23-yard line, or the 29-yard line, to the Philly 26-yard line.
It's the theme of him. He's mentally so resilient and unshakable. Like, okay, we have to deal with this. And of course, this is who the 49ers have been this year. We'll deal with anything. We'll just blink, no hesitation. All right, Tonja's got to play. Tonja's has played. Let's go. And Brock Purdy, like, lives it. He lives and breathes it as the quarterback of this team. Okay, we got to go. Well, watch this. Bang! Over the linebacker, right into the hole, into Jennings. Great run after catch. There you go. Niners are back in business. And we started this drive saying they got to score on this drive. Then we went on this big tangent because they lost one of the best players in NFL, one of the great tight ends in NFL history, one of their best players in George Kittle. Now you come back at very next play. It's no blink, no hesitation. This team is unshakable. Brock Purdy is unshakable. And when you embody that sort of mental resilience, Rob, that's how you go win a freaking road playoff game.
One quarterback once famously said, F the Packers at the end of a Niners playoff win. Brock Purdy has F the whoever the 49ers are playing attitude, and it showed in this one. Now, they gave the ball to Christian McCaffrey 3 straight times after that. Did not go well. 4th and 2 from the 18. You know what I was screaming for, Vish. I wanted them to go for it. They decide not to go for it. They kick the field goal 36 yards. It is good. So it is 13-10 Niners. and the Eagles are going to get the ball back with less than 3 minutes to go, getting the ball in the third quarter with an offense capable of running the clock. I was very cranky at this point.
And I figured you were very cranky, and you have every reason to. I'm sure I didn't see this tweet from you, but I'm sure it came out. Excuse me. Something about Kyle. Field goals aren't going to win this game. You have to think touchdowns. Kyle always does this. Kyle, you're a coward. Kyle this, Kyle that. I know that came out. It's your birthday. You've probably been going at it since the morning. You got a little fun juice in you. You got your whole thing going. But you know what I thought, actually? This is the one rare time I was like, I kind of can live with that. It was because the Kittle thing and the flash of it, and like, I feel like we knew he tore his Achilles. Like, they said they knew immediately, which is even more shocking for how quickly we knew as just the external world. Usually they're like, he's questionable calf, and then after the game they'll say they fear it's the torn Achilles, and then they'll confirm it the next day. With Kittle, it was like 10 minutes later, everybody's like, yeah, dude, he tore his Achilles. This sucks. Like, it is what it is. And to have the confidence of, hey, we still scored a field goal. We're still in this. We're okay. We're still going. I thought, I know analytics hate moral victories. I thought that was a big moment for them in the football game. Okay, Brock Purdy had that big throw right after it. That was no blink. But I thought it was really important for them to get points on this drive. For different reasons than what I said at the start of the drive. Because this to me was more about, we just lost our best player. We're going to get off the field and take a moment, and it's going to register. But let's at least register it with, hey, it's 13-10. We're still in this. We're offense is going. We've scored on 2 out of our 4 drives.
So it's 13-10. The Eagles get the ball back with 2:50 to go in the second quarter. And this is when it starts, Vish. This is when what we have talked about all week, when the Eagles offense just shoots itself in the foot, just can't get out of its own way. And it started with this drive, and it went the next 3 possessions. They start with a Saquon Barkley run. 2nd and 4, they throw deep to A.J. Brown. Tough play, but he can't catch the ball. 3rd and 4, what happens? False start. So now 3rd and 4 becomes 3rd and 9. They go to A.J. Brown again. He does not make the catch. No flag. I thought it maybe could have been a flag, but they pretty much let him play when it came to that. And after this play, Nick Sirianni runs all the way down the field to get in A.J. Brown's face and yell at him. And they start going at it. And Brady's sitting there saying, oh, blah, this is what happens, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, the head coach just ran down the field to show up their best wide receiver. This is not nothing. And it wasn't nothing because A.J. Brown did not catch a pass the rest of the game.
Yeah, for me, it's more like the all-around frustration for the Eagles is like, you have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. That was like, you have, to me, when you say top to bottom, 11 guys or 10 guys excluding the quarterback, you have the most talented offense in the league. And yet there's nothing easy about your offense other than, oh, like, A.J. Brown, you didn't make that contested catch. Now we're going to go down the sideline and yell at you because that's all our offense can do. It's just throwing go balls to you and Smith and you guys making athletically marvelous plays, and that's how we win. So, oh my God, A.J. Brown, you didn't moss the guy. Like, you suck. And I thought that to me was what that was more about. My favorite listen on TV, Chris Sims, had a lot of blame on this one assigned to Jalen Hurts. He's been saying that for a couple years. Yep. I thoroughly believe in that philosophy, but I'm also a Jalen Hurts hater, fully being upfront about that. Like, it bothers me when we talk about legacies that guy has 2 Super Bowl appearances, a Super Bowl MVP. Like, yeah, it bothers me, but it is what it is.
All right. Before we get to this 49ers next drive, I want to read this super chat. Thank you so much, Dale, 8288. That's very generous. Says, we can say now that Brock elevates the weapons around him, not the other way around, right? Imagine what he will do when we're reloaded. Imagine this tone been through the ringer. Imagine this tone been through the ringer deed next year. We are in good spot, Niner fans. You've been saying it forever, Vish, that Brock does elevate the talent around him, that it's not just the Avengers elevating him. And if there was ever a game where he proved it on the road without your best player on offense or your best, maybe your best receiving threat at this point on the team and against the Super Bowl champs, and Brock went and did it.
Yeah, I think when you watch Jimmy Garoppolo for so many years, like, I don't think there's any fan of the 49ers that is like watching the game not seeing what Shanahan does, right? Like, we can see there's always people running open in this offense. There's always big plays that seem generated because they seem one step ahead of the defense. But we also see like how the quarterback just being unable to execute the offense can slow the offense down when you watch Garoppolo. And I feel like so many Brock Purdy conversations, well, the offense is so good, so how can he elevate anybody? But when the offense is so good, your job is to be able to consistently execute the offense, play in and play out. Can you make the right decision? Can you get to the next play? Can you, oh, you had a bad play. Can you step that aside and, make good plays in a row? And can you with no hesitation take advantage of what the offense is giving you? And what we see with the 49ers year after year with Shanahan and Brock Purdy is Brock Purdy, play after play, executes what's being called. And when what's being called is that good, you elevate everybody. They don't just elevate, they elevate everybody.
Except on this next drive, which I wanted to rip
Rob.
my hair out on this drive.
I knew it. I knew you were watching. I'm gonna after this show, I'm gonna go check your Twitter timeline because I'm sure that first half, and then I'm sure you got upset because after the game, everybody would have come to your first half tweets as if they're all, Twitter doesn't show them chronologically, and they're like, look at this idiot. And you want to be like, well, I tweeted this 20 minutes ago. Look at what I'm tweeting now. But you know what? It is what it is, Rob. I'm upset at you. Why do you have to get so upset?
Well, this drive, not upset at Brock Purdy, upset at the wide receivers on this team. So the Niners get the ball back. There's 1:51 left, and they're trying to go down the field. And Brock Purdy takes a sack on 2nd and 6, which I thought Brock on the offensive line did a really good job protecting him for the most part in this game.
I didn't think he could get out of this one, really.
Yeah. 3rd and 11. Potentially dangerous spot because if you punt, you're going to give the ball back to the Eagles in decent field position with time left. And Brock drops back and bam, hits Demarcus Robinson for 15 yards on a free play because there was an offsides on the play. But once again, chunk play, 3rd down, got to have it. Brock Purdy converts. Now you're at the 37-yard line, and you're like, there's 1:07 to go. We could get some points here. Brock throws incomplete to McCaffrey on 1st down. He throws incomplete to Malik Turner on 2nd down. And then we get into the trouble. 3rd and 10. Brock Purdy, short pass to Jake Tonjes for 14 yards. And the clock's ticking because we don't have any timeouts. And I'm like, what? These guys are not moving. Juwan Jennings is not moving. What is going on here? Kendrick Bourne doesn't know what's going on. Who's who in the zoo? Purdy throws a pass to McCaffrey on 1st and 10 for 5 yards. And they're just jogging, man. Juwan Jennings is jogging back to the play.
So with the urgency, I want to say, I thought this was a bad decision. When they killed like 20 seconds to get to this in 36 seconds, like to me, the last thing he could do was throw it underneath and over the middle because the guy's going to get tackled and you're going to wind the clock again for another 10, 15 seconds. So I want to add that to this, but please continue narrating what Juwan Jennings and Kendrick Bourne were doing on this drive because it was
Brady is killing them. And then I can't even explain. Hold on. Did I get it out of order? I think I did get it out of order. I apologize. You're right. Shoot. See, I got so mad. I got it out of order.
No, you're good. Keep going. It's okay.
The first thing that happened was Kendrick Bourne not knowing how to line up after the play to Demarcus Robinson on the 1st down play. Bourne doesn't know how to line up, and Juwan Jennings is screaming at him, and they have to waste their 3rd timeout. I apologize. I had that out of order. So they wasted their last timeout with 1:02 to go because Kendrick Bourne, the veteran who has to start and play over Jordan Watkins at all costs, doesn't know how to line up. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was Juwan Jennings not hustling back after the completion to McCaffrey on 1st and 10 at the 49-yard line. They completed that pass. That play started with 36 seconds to go in the half. And the next play they ran with 13 seconds left in the half. So that's how much time they lost because 15 was jogging back. And they both got reamed out by Leonard Hankerson after this possession.
Yeah, so for me, the Jennings one wasn't as egregious. I thought, you can't throw the ball short and underneath there. Of course, he's got to run back to it, but he had run
running. He was walking, and then
he was fatigued, right? Which you got to know the situation so much better. That's part of just being a veteran player. sometimes I think that the expectation of coaches is too much. Like, these are adults. They've played football their whole life. They should know the clock. They should know the situation. That's part of their job description. Juwan Jennings needs to know how fast they're moving on a 2-minute offense with no timeouts. The Kendrick Bourne one, you kind of let it go because you said it out of order. I lost my mind for that one. I understand Kendrick Bourne is this happy-go-lucky guy that everybody laughs off when he makes a mistake, but there's too many of these in key situations. And for me, he's just not a reliable player in big situations. Yes, he has the ability to make a big catch, but for every big catch, he'll give you a he lined up wrong. He'll drop it in the big spot. You just can't work with that to me in these sorts of situations. He got his bonus. I'm glad for him that he got his bonus, but I wouldn't mind if somebody else played a little bit more in those snaps. I understand they don't want to go in the rookie direction, but golly, they love Kendrick Bourne, and
you can't play Jordan Watkins because he might make a rookie mistake, like not knowing where to line up in a crucial spot. I mean, Kendrick Bourne's making the same mistake. But anyway, I don't want to. Let's keep going here because we're already 45 minutes in and we haven't even gotten to halftime yet. So it gets to 3rd and 5 at the 44-yard line. There's 8 seconds to go after an incomplete pass and then a timeout by Philly. And Philly decides they're not going to put anybody on the line of scrimmage because the Niners have no timeouts. And I thought the Niners called a brilliant play, Vish. They call a quarterback draw with Brock Purdy. There's nobody on the line of scrimmage, so he's got free yardage there. But the blocking was not quite 100% perfect, and Brock kind of has to hastily try to run out of bounds. And ultimately, he ends up fumbling just before he goes out of bounds with 1 second left. And because you fumble going out of bounds, the clock runs, and so the half is over.
Yeah. I thought the play call was brilliant too, in terms of like creating space in that moment and being tricky. I didn't really understand what they were playing for, because with 8 seconds and running Brock Purdy, no matter where you got out of bounds and whatever, you weren't giving Pinheiro a realistic kick, right? You were going to be going absolute Hail Mary for him to kick it. And then they clearly are not interested in taking a Hail Mary shot, right? Like the way they played that at the end of the half, they weren't interested in doing that. So I didn't necessarily understand what the process was at 8 seconds, but it was a cool call given the situation. Like, it's like, oh, maybe if they do manage the clock properly, they have the right play calls to be able to handle that situation. They just didn't manage it poorly. And I want to say one thing. For all the praise we give Shanahan, and he deserves the most praise, I think he's truly one of the best coaches I've seen. But they have too much of this where it's like they're not buttoned up enough situationally. And I want to say this because this team I really believe in moving forward, but they're not talented enough now, and they've got to play on the road where being buttoned up situationally is really important for this team. I thought this was a rare game this year where their special teams, like this is a few weeks in a row where their special teams has not been the special teams in the matchup. And we've talked about it so much. Seattle special teams outplayed them in week 18. That's going to be an important thing for them to turn around. They got to win the special teams of this matchup coming up on Saturday. And I think along those same lines, they got to be more buttoned up in these sorts of things. They got to be winning the end of quarter, end of half. These sorts of scenarios, this is where they need to win. This is where you can win your playoff games, especially as the weaker the less talented team on the road. They're so well coached schematically, but this is the one thing I wish if they could iron this out before the game before the Seattle game, where they're so ready on their P's and Q's for everything they're going to do situationally. Their players are so prepared for, hey, Jennings knows in a 2-minute drill with no timeouts, I know I'm tired. I got to sprint back. I got to put in another sprint because, hey, we need a field goal in this sort of drive. Those sorts of things, it would be a big impact coming into Saturday, Rob. It's the one criticism I have of a game full of praises.
It was frustrating because I felt like they had to be perfect to try and steal this game. And I thought like they had done a pretty good job up until that point, and they just did not execute in that situation. And it wasn't anything the Eagles did. It was Kendrick Bourne not knowing where to line up, and Juwan Jennings taking too much time, and then Brock fumbling out of bounds. And it would have been a long field goal, yes, but it would have been a shot to tie the game going into halftime. So I was frustrated.
And you kind of touched on it, right? You kind of gave the full umbrella statement. They used their timeouts miserably. in the first half. And to me, it isn't that you always need to have all 3 timeouts at 3 minutes. It's that if you have to use your timeouts for pre-snap, hey, we had too many people on defense. We didn't substitute properly. So now we got to burn a timeout here. Hey, we didn't get the right personnel or the play call on offense. So now we burn a timeout here. Like process wasting timeouts, that's bad. If you have like, oh, they're going to get us in a fake, we have the wrong personnel out there and it's not like a substitution. We need like, that's a fine timeout to use. Like, I don't mind using the timeout at 8 minutes in the first quarter if you have a real reason that the game needs to be stopped and you need to reset. But process things where it feels like, man, we just weren't prepared enough or we made a mistake. Those sorts of things to me are inexcusable, especially at this level when the margins are so thin. That's another thing I would compound into that earlier point of, for such a well-coached team, like you just want to button them up, just one more button. Like they're a little too cool for school. They keep both their top 2 buttons open, you know. You just want to button them up one more, and just one more. You wish they had that.
Is that a Chris Sims reference for the
Oh,
uninitiated?
no, he's all the way to the top button. I don't ever get that one. As a guy who's watched and listened to his podcast for 8 years now, since Shanahan joined the 49ers, I've never gotten that. By the way, do you know Shanahan is Shano?
I did know
Oh,
that.
you did know that?
Well, for anyone that doesn't know, I produced Pro Football Talk with Chris Sims and Mike Florio for 7 years, so I got to know Chris pretty well. First time you see that top button buttoned up, though, I got to tell you, it's off-putting. It is off-putting.
It's a fascinating fashion statement.
He makes it work, though.
Yeah, whatever. But but the real thing is Shano, man. That's what I've been introduced to this year. They introduced the nickname Shano on the podcast. Shano, that's my guy.
That's a little weird for me, for sure. Before we get to
you think of him as Coach Shanahan.
before we get to the second half of this game, I just want to take a shout out and a moment here to recognize Sleeper. We're so grateful that Sleeper has come on board as a sponsor of the podcast. Go and check it out for yourself. You can see the app on the screen right now. They've got news up here. As you can see, the young Philadelphia Eagles fan that was roasting the team after the game. He calling for A.J. Brown to be gone. He wanted Patullo out too. So that's always very cool. There's fantasy up there, as you can see. And, of course, the picks, which we give you every Friday here on the Gold Standard podcast. It's pretty simple. You just pick higher or lower on a bunch of different stats. And if you get your picks right, you could win up to 1,000 times your cash. Who doesn't want to do that? So download the app. Check it out right now. If you just sign up, don't even deposit money. Sign up. They'll give you a free $20 entry. Go have some fun. And if you do want to deposit your money, first of all, thank you very much. Second of all, use our code GSP to get up to a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. So there you go. Again, use our code GSP. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. All right, Vish, let's get to the second half of this game. We got a couple more super chats here. Bazzyman says, our team's going for it more on fourth down against us. Seattle and Philly went for it multiple times early on. Is it our D or are they scared of our offense? I think Seattle was not scared of anything, and that's why they went for it on fourth down in the first possession of that game in Week 18. The Eagles just, if it's 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, they just feel like they have it in their bag with the tush push.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of both of those points as well. I do think there's an element of Seattle especially came into that game feeling like, yeah, well, we got to score on every possession because they could do that to us. They're that sort of offense. They're that well coached. I do think it was respect for the Niners offense. But I think the secondary point is what you touched on with Philadelphia. Like, I think the analytics Twitter community has bullied coaches enough where like going for it is almost like the cop out. Like if you get the percentages in your ear and it's like 80% go for it, nobody's going to question you after the game if they say, oh, why'd you go for it? Well, we're an analytics team. That's what we do. The Matt said go for it, so we went for it. People leave that conversation as that. They don't get into overanalyzing a coaching decision, especially when it's analytically sound. And so I think that's where most coaches are just like, yeah, all right, Matt says go for it. Let's go for it.
I like it much better.
Except for one guy, man. 2 guys.
Well,
they're going to the NFC playoffs.
Kyle has been much better about going for it this year, more than he ever had.
His pal south of him, a couple hours south, is one of analytics' worst enemies.
True. The only Flav says, I love this year, and if we win this week and Bears beat the Rams, it will be as happy as I could be without winning a Super Bowl. I just wonder if we lose, was it good or bad that we won all those games? I don't ever take it as a bet, winning as a bad thing, ever. I get it. Like Kittle's hurt now and they're going to be tired and more fatigued and all that stuff. But do you want off this ride? I don't want off. This year has been nuts, man. And I'm still strapped into the roller coaster. Let's go.
Yeah, I will say, like, I saw an earlier super chat along this line, and I want to say, like, this year is just this year. Like, I feel like a lot of people look at this year and they're like, what does it mean to next year? Next year is its own football season. It'll have its own challenges. The Niners might not be coaching the same. Like, you can't guarantee that everything goes your way that way next year. You just got to win the season in front of you. You got to win with the team you have. And this season is very much alive for the 49ers. It's like been one big football game. There's been so many things that have been imperfect about this season. The Bosa injury, the Warner injury, now the Kittle injury, like all these things. And yet here they are. They're still riding with it. They're still in it. They still got every chance to go win this thing. And in terms of if they lose, will I feel like, man, they lost? Why did they win all those games? No. I'll feel like, wow, this is one of the most magical seasons in San Francisco 49ers history that I've gotten to experience. I've been watching this team every single season so closely since 2005. This has to be one of my favorite seasons, to see all the different players step up for this team, to see the way they've come together around so many different injuries, for them to go into Philly and kick Big Dom in the face, for them to go into Seattle and beat Seattle, for them to beat the Rams at the Rams on Thursday Night Football with Mac freaking Jones. Are you kidding me? This is an awesome year no matter what. Already is a great year, and I expect it to have a better ending because I like the matchup this time versus Seattle. I don't know if they can go into Seattle and beat Seattle, but I think it's going to look a hell of a lot different than it did 2 weeks ago. I think the Niners are going to be ready to play this time, and Seattle is going to beat them at their best, and they're going to be, or at their best without Kittle, Warner, and Bosa, but it's still they're going to give Seattle a really good punch. They're going to swing at it, and let's see if Seattle can take it. They're the prohibitive favorite. They have a great defense. Their coach has had a great year. It's going to be fun to see. And in terms of the Rams beating the Bears, I'm actually struggling with who I root for in this game because I hate both teams so much that it's like I can never root for the Bears. But I will say, like, that's just disaster scenario matchup to me for the Bears. But the Bears have, what should we call it? They have what the kids call aura, Rob. They have what the kids call, like, the game script loves them. They have a friendly game script, all of that. And the Rams are just screwing everything up.
Yeah,
and so that's what makes that game interesting to me. But on paper, in terms of how you look at the matchups, that's disaster scenario for the Bears. And boy, if I want to go into SoFi and turn it into Levi's South if the Niners got a chance to go back. Get redemption for 2021. Are you kidding? Oh, man.
I want to focus on that playoff matchup because we got a whole second half to get through, Vish, and we're already
all right, fine, Rob. Let's talk about the Niners and their playoff win. Who doesn't want to do that?
Fortunately, the Eagles' offense goes into a shell, so it'll be pretty easy to get through these possessions. Eagles run Saquon Barkley on first down, first play out of half. They get 8 yards, but that's all they get because the next play, Bryce Huff tackles Saquon Barkley in the backfield. 3rd and 3, Saquon drops a pass with a defender that I think it was Upton Stout was right in front of him. He drops the pass, and you're like, oh, damn, here we go. Niners get a stop. They get the ball back, a chance to take the lead, except for Philly's punter blasts a 58-yard punt, pinning the 49ers deep. And for some reason, Sky Moore calls a fair catch inside the 5-yard line. Again, special teams for the 49ers in this one, not sharp. We thought that Sky was over those issues that he had earlier this year, but he screwed that one up.
Yeah, that was horrible. I don't think he realized how far he had been moved back. Like, as much as I just want to be like, yeah, you stupid punt returner, because I hate special teams, and be like, why are you catching the punt at the 5-yard line? When you're first of all, it's a really hard job because if you think about it, you are tracking a ball that's a million miles in the air and you have people running at you full speed trying to hit you, and you're trying to manage, well, where do I fair catch it? All of these different things. And I think his landmark would have been around the 25-yard line, and he wouldn't have realized, shoot, I went 20 yards back. I should just let this go over my head. Just an unlucky play altogether. I thought he could maybe make the first guy miss. Unfortunately, he couldn't really do that. And there's one thing with Sky Moore. When he gets hit, he gets just thrown.
So the Niners have to start the ball pinned all the way back. Purdy drops back to pass in the end zone on the first possession. Throws a nice little pump fake and scrambles to pick up yards, and you start to feel like you're in business. But once again, The 49ers can't get out of their own way, and they have to burn their first time out of the second half with 12 minutes and 20 seconds to go. So once again, I'm ripping my hair out.
Yeah, how much did you freak out for that?
I was furious because it was like, where is they just weren't sharp for these possessions. Like where they were not buttoned up at all. And that's what was frustrating because the game was there to be had. And it was like, you are squandering the opportunity in front of you. Now they did get a first down because Purdy hit DeMarcus Robinson after that. So they pick up a first down, but this was more confusion. I don't know what it was, if it was the helmet radio that was going out, but I feel like in the past couple of weeks, Brock Purdy has had trouble getting the play in from the sideline, and they actually run the ball on 2nd and 10 with McCaffrey up the middle. I don't think Brock got a play. I think it wasn't working. He couldn't hear whatever, and he was like, screw it. I'm just calling a play because we can't waste another timeout because we just used one. So he calls a run. They actually pick up a bunch of yards on the run, and then unfortunately, Brock Purdy throws his first interception of the day on this possession, and it was super frustrating because it looked like the play was drawn up for Juwan Jennings. Jennings was wide open, but Brock had a little pressure. He got off of it too quick, and he throws a ball that is just up for grabs, and Quinyon Mitchell grabbed it.
Yeah, he played a really good game in my mind. Maybe his best playoff game when you put everything into perspective, not the game individually, but the circumstance of on the road, the weather, how good the defense was, who they had, all of those things. But the 2 interceptions are just 2 bad plays. And it's unfortunate that Philadelphia caught both of them. Credit to Quinyon Mitchell. But they're just 2 plays where it's like, yeah, in a game where he had, 20, 25 really good plays, those were just 2 like bad plays. There's nothing else you could say about them. Credit to the Niners defense for what they do on this next drive off of the interception. I thought like, oh, is this where they could lose the game? Like, I feel like they've played so well. Like, why did this have to happen? And for them to, do what they did on the next drive, if you want to just go through it really quick, that was what was more impressive to me. What a bounce back.
A prime opportunity for the Eagles to go take the momentum after Brock throws a pick, and Hurts scrambles on 2nd and 10 for a first down on it was a design run actually, but they get a holding penalty that pushes him back. Then they try to hand the ball to now they're like desperate, right? They try to give the ball to Saquon to hit the same play they hit on the 29-yard run earlier in the game. This time Lenore holds the edge, steps up, makes the tackle to stuff Saquon Barkley. 3rd and 18. They hit a short pass to Dallas Goedert, and Philly has to punt. They gain -4 yards on the possession, a possession where they could have taken control of the game, and the Niners defense stood up and stuffed them.
And this time, man boots one, booms one, same thing, and it's a touchback.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to keep going. Yes. No, you're right.
No, this is the next play because I agree. That was great sudden change. And that was just another time the Niners defense, I didn't think played well versus Seattle. Like they stepped up and got the key stops they needed for a lot of the Seattle game, but I don't think it's because they played well. It was like Seattle beat themselves. Philadelphia's offense has been beating themselves this whole year, and sure, at points they did beat themselves in this game, but I thought Niners defense also stopped them. This was an example where you got them behind the sticks, after that holding penalty, and you didn't let them off the hook. Both those plays look like, they got you behind the chains. It's going to be quick and easy. They're in their rhythm. They're going to get off the field.
Nick Wagner had a great tweet yesterday. Eagles in the first half, 20 carries, 95 yards. They ran for 4.8 yards per carry. In the second half, 16 rushes, 45 yards, just 2.8 yards per carry. That's Robert Saleh and company stepping up in a massive way.
That's Alfred Collins and CJ West.
Yep.
We talked about it. Philadelphia's interior offensive line, Juergens and Dickerson, they've not played that well this year, and they beat them up. They won that battle on the inside of this defense, and they got to go win another one this Saturday.
So Niners get the ball back after the punt. It's 13-10 Philly. They're at the 20-yard line, and they cannot get anything going. Christian McCaffrey gets stuffed, incompletion to Tonjes, incompletion to CMC, and they have to punt again. And again, special teams, frustrating. Thomas Morstead unleashes a 26-yard punt, and the Eagles' next drive actually begins in 49ers territory. It was a special teams screw up. Again, they were not sharp yesterday, and this one cost them because the Eagles get points on the next drive.
Yeah, this was the point where it was like, how much longer can they hold on for me
Yes.
in my head? That's what this was becoming. Like, I feel like they're playing so well, but it's like they're not taking advantage of their chances. And at what point is the talent going to overcome that? And boy, did they flip a switch going into this fourth quarter. Are we going to go through this Philly drive? It's pretty uneventful where they kick the field goal.
Well, I want to mention one thing on the drive because there was a play to Devontae Smith where he's potentially going to have a big gain. And Marquise Siegel is in the game because Jair Brown is hurt. And Marquise Siegel is one-on-one with Devontae Smith, and he makes a tremendous tackle in the game to tackle Smith in the open field one-on-one. And Kyle Posey had a good tweet about this. Kyle Posey of Niners Nation. He said, after basically not playing for 3 months, Marquise Siegel tied the Niners with a team-high 7 solo tackles. He was in the open field multiple times, made the play every time. No missed tackles. It was an impossible spot to be thrown in, KP wrote, and he answered the bell. And he absolutely did, Vish. And it's, I don't know why they basically didn't give him any plays since like week 7, but he stepped up in a huge spot, a rookie, which Kyle Shanahan doesn't want to do. And Marquise Siegel was awesome in this one.
Yeah. There's nobody that's been more critical of the Niners safeties than me. I will say there is one thing I think Brown does better than all of their safeties, which has kept him on the field, which is that when he sees something from depth, which is like 10 to 12 yards, he comes down and he flies down, no hesitation. And if you hear what the Niners coaches preach, their number one thing is they want guys who do their job without hesitation. And their feeling always with these rookies is that they play with a little bit of hesitation because they're still thinking out there. And that's always been the veteran over rookie preference. But the second part of the tweet, what you highlighted to me, sums up everything about Marquise Siegel. To start and then not start, that's a hard thing to go through at 23 years old. He's probably on top of the world. 5th round rookie, starting safety. He wasn't even playing all that bad. He wasn't playing good, but he wasn't playing bad for a 5th round rookie that was starting. All of a sudden, they take your starting job away. Now you're the special teams guy, all of this. To then wait and then get your moment again in the NFC divisional round against Philadelphia, in Philadelphia, the reigning defending NFC champions, and you got to play because the starter is hurt in Jair Brown, and you just got to step up and play, and you play like that. That's what I think is more phenomenal, and I think that's what is this team is about. People stepping up in situations like that with no hesitation. That's what my guy Garrett Wallow did as well in this game, where it's like you just take advantage of your moment and do your job. That's coaching. Like, to give guys the confidence to be able to do that, that's coaching. To make them worry about only what they need to worry about, which is their job, not have them worrying about, hey, I need to do this, or why am I getting benched, all of those things. That's just amazing coaching and leadership from Robert Saleh.
So Philly goes down. They get the field goal. They are up 16-10. Oklahoma Niners 212 YouTube channel member. Thanks for the super chat. Says, I forgot to mention yesterday I did my part in doubling up, eating 2 Philly cheesesteaks. In 23, I ate 1, and we won. Also, SN means side note stats. Oh, yes. He put that in another comment earlier. I didn't know what it meant. I'm the old dude in the room. But thank you, Oklahoma Niners. Thank you to everybody that switched it up when they needed to, like I did, Vish. I put my 49ers shoes on. My wife got me the 49ers Nikes for Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, she did. That's good wife.
Okay.
Put those on, and things turned around for the 49ers. So, we all have to do our part. James
Come
Kirk,
on, man. Not in the house, though, right?
No, well, I've never worn those outside the house because they're brand new. I got them for Christmas. So.
Okay. I'll allow that one.
James Kirk says, popped in during the Monday Night Football commercials. Great to be here live. Go Vish. You called it earlier this season. Niners win. Niners win.
Go, man. Let's freaking go. Let's get to that fourth quarter, Rob. Here we go.
Niners go into the fourth quarter, and they are losing. And everybody loves to say, oh, Kyle Shanahan, we're going into the fourth quarter, 7 or more points. He only has won 1 game, blah, blah, blah. Now, this one doesn't count because it was only 6 points because Elliott missed the PAT. But they were down 6 points going into the fourth quarter in this game. And holy crap, did the 49ers hit the accelerator in the fourth quarter.
It felt like they finally, the first 3 quarters was them gathering data of oh, we can play with this team. Oh, we're able to stop them. Oh, we can generate big plays on them. Oh, we're getting to Marcus Robinson, of all people, open against their defense. It felt like that. And then the fourth quarter was now let's just go win this game. And boy, they turned it on. And I want to say, because we're going to get to him right here on this drive, Kyle Juszczyk stepped up in an unbelievable way when George Kittle was out. I think he's had a really good year. He's a guy that's a friendly person, I think, for us to all criticize. And I think it's mainly because JT O'Sullivan coined him coach's buddy, which is just objectively hilarious. But he's been invaluable this entire season. And I thought in this fourth quarter, especially, like getting him going on offense turned out to be like the guy that was unaccounted for. He was the guy that really got them a big play to get going on this much needed drive on offense. And that's how it started, Rob.
It started with it was just a check down, but Purdy found the check down, which, sometimes we've wanted him to do. And Juszczyk rumbles 27 yards down the field to the Philadelphia 40-yard line.
Just makes plays, man.
At the end of the third quarter. And you know what I like too after that catch? He got to the defender and he put it on him. He smashed into the defender. He didn't just make contact. He was like, I'm going to put the punishment on you. He smashed into the defender, which I loved. So that jump starts the drive at the 40-yard line. They give it to Christian McCaffrey for 6 yards. Then they run a little jet sweep with Sky Moore for 3 yards. And that's going to be important, Vish, because a couple plays later from the Philadelphia 29-yard line, they fake the Sky Moore jet sweep.
Instead, baby.
They toss the ball to Juwan Jennings, and he chucks it 29 yards down the field to Christian McCaffrey for a touchdown. And holy crap, the game is tied, and I am losing my mind. So many things I want to talk about with this play. First of all, Kyle Shanahan gave credit to Clay Kubiak. He said Clay Kubiak's the one that suggested it, which Kyle could have taken all the praise on himself, right? He could have just soaked it up from everybody, and instead, he admitted Clay Kubiak was the one that suggested the play. They run the play. Juwan Jennings gets blasted, actually draws a roughing the passer penalty. And Christian McCaffrey does such a good job tracking this ball. Name me another running back in the league that can make that catch. Maybe Bijan Robinson, and that is it. That was such a good play all around. They get the touchdown. They kitchen sinked it, Vish, just like we said they should. And all of a sudden, the game is tied in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and it's like both times they've run this play, they've messed up the blocking a little bit, and they've had a guy run in on their thrower. They did this in 2019 with Emmanuel Sanders, and Sanders did an unbelievable job throwing the ball, but then Mostert was wide open at the back end. So it was like a punt that Mostert caught and then ran into the end zone. This was one where, okay, first of all, the kitchen sink part of this, right? Like, this is what we wanted. And I've heard a lot of, if Matt LaFleur gets fired, the Niners should maybe look to bring him back. If Mike McDaniel's fired, maybe the Niners should bring him back. Look, I don't think that we don't know if Clay Kubiak isn't the next Matt LaFleur and Mike McDaniel. If not, maybe better. His dad was a great coach. Gary Kubiak was a great coach. And maybe there's a little of quid pro quo with Gary helping out Kyle. So Kyle's talking about up Clay. But I've never seen him talk up one of his assistants in the manner that he's talked up Clay Kubiak this whole year. Maybe Clay Kubiak's really got it. When you look at his trajectory from how quickly he went from high school coach to quality control to quarterback to offensive coordinator, it's one of those rare prodigious level shoot-ups and rises in the industry. And he did it with a notoriously tough coach in Kyle Shanahan. So maybe he's made of the real stuff, because I feel like Clint is. I tweeted this out when I watched them play the Rams, when people were talking about Chris Shula as a head coaching prospect. I think Clint Kubiak coached the hell out of him in that game. I think Clint Kubiak is the better coaching prospect. So I'm glad you touched on that, because I wanted to address that all together. Like, screw Mike McDaniel, screw Matt LaFleur. I'm riding with Clay Kubiak, okay? But then secondly, the throw is unbelievable, but from Juwan Jennings, it might be the best individual throw of the day. And Brock Purdy had some rockets in this, but like, for him to be a non-quarterback, be cold, and just get hit and just throw this on a rope. And I love what Shanahan said after the game about this too. Like, I wish he threw this imperfect, because usually a receiver just doesn't throw it that good. And he threw an absolute whip. Great spiral. That thing is spinning like everything. It's pretty flat. He really threw the piss out of that ball, and it's just going. And even Christian McCaffrey for a second is like, oh, he's put this on. Like, I'm going to have to turn on extra gear and go track this thing over my shoulder. Of course, he makes it look easy. Special athlete. What a play. What a freaking call by Burkhardt and Brady. What a moment, Rob. All-time 49ers moment. Oh, baby.
It was beautiful. And Brady sees it because they pitch it back and he says, oh, and then he sees McCaffrey run past Reed Blankenship and he says, oh, again, because he knows that McCaffrey's going to be open on the play. And how about this note for the audio listeners? Juwan Jennings had more completed passes over 15 air yards won in this game than Jalen Hurts did. Jalen was 0 for 5, 15 yards down the field.
How about Juwan Jennings with as many passing touchdowns as Justin Herbert in the playoffs? Juwan freaking Jennings, man. You win playoff games with that guy. I know you don't like him this year, Rob. And I know I was upset. Like, Juwan Jennings, you're not like a contract dispute holdout kind of guy in my mind. Yes, I carry that kind of hierarchy with NFL players. What a freaking stud. You got to head out, Rob?
No, sorry. My wife just got back. So I think
right.
we're in the clear with that. She was just saying, hey. So the Niners get the penalty. They get the touchdown. They are up 17-16. I'm losing my mind. And the Eagles get the ball back. And what do they do with the ball? Nothing. They get another penalty and they go 3 and out again. And it just highlighted this offense getting in its own way. It's like driving a Ferrari into the ditch. And my friend Brandon Lee Gowton of Bleeding Green Nation that I used to work with at SB Nation highlighted it perfectly in this tweet. Eagles second half drives against the worst defense in the playoffs. 3 plays, 7 yards, punt. 4 plays, -4 yards, punt. 10 plays, 23 yards, field goal. 3 plays, -3 yards, punt. If not for Brock Purdy's interceptions, the Niners are blowing them out in the second half.
Yeah, totally. And I hate doing this because I feel like this conversation's hard because, you know, Philadelphia has shot themselves in the foot so much on offense. You could easily make the argument it's like they're shooting themselves in the foot. But like there were so many improvements for the Niners on defense where it's like they could have shot themselves in the foot, and the way they've played in weeks past, the Niners might have still let them score. And there were drives where that happened, I guess, a few times earlier in this game. And to watch that defense round out, to watch the way those linebackers played, I mean, they did rush, like Rob, we talked about how they didn't rush the passer. They started rushing the passer in the fourth quarter. But Bryce Huff woke up.
Yes.
He's like, hey, this team essentially cut me. They said, don't come back. They traded me for a biscuit in Hassan Reddick. Like, come on. Like,
Jalen Hurts. Oh, sorry. Jalen Hurts was pressured on 16.2% of his dropbacks. He only completed 57.1% of his passes with a paltry 4.8 yards per attempt in that situation. So this was the moment for me, Vish. I'm like, okay.
Usually they win, though. You know, he does this and then they win and everybody's like MVP.
Right. Yeah, except not today. But this was the drive that was really frustrating because the Niners have the lead. They get the ball back, and I'm like, all right, this is our chance to take control of this game. If we can, even if we don't score a touchdown, even if we only get a field goal, or even if we just take time off the clock, the Niners get the ball back with 13 minutes to go, 15 to go in the game. And I'm like, here we go. We need to grind it out, drive down the field. Hopefully we can, even if we only get a field goal, we'll take time off the clock. And instead, Brock Purdy in 3 plays turns the ball over. He kind of lofts it up to Jake Tonjes, and I don't know if it was the wind or if Purdy just didn't drive it enough, but Quinyon Mitchell undercuts it, picks the ball off, and you're like, I can't believe we're doing this. We're giving Philly another chance to go steal this game when we have outplayed them for almost the entire thing.
Yeah, this like, it's not to belabor the point. Same thing as the first one. This was just a horrible play. I couldn't tell you what went wrong on this play. All I know is 2nd and 8 on your own half in a straight drop back. You don't want a floated, uncontested ball being picked off over the middle. And this was pretty much uncontested. It was thrown so underthrown that Tonjes couldn't even try and disrupt Mitchell from being able to catch this pass. Unfortunate. I loved the way he bounced back. I loved the way the defense held Philadelphia to a field goal.
Yes, they did do a good job of that. Can you hop out and hop in real quick? Because we got a little robot effect happening with you. I don't know what's going on, but just hop out of the studio and come back in again. We'll see if we can get Vish straightened out there. But that was a devastating. That was the only time where I really got super mad at Brock Purdy was when he threw the second pick. I was just like, mother! Because I really thought that may have been their chance to take control of the game. But like Vish mentioned, and Vish is back with us now, just the fact that the defense bowed up after the interceptions to only allow 3 points on the turnover was pretty damn impressive.
Yep, absolutely. That to me is the resilience that we've seen all year. That's what this team's about. That's what's awesome to see for us, Rob. But more or less, like for them to, at that point it was like, man, did they just throw the game away? That's what I thought for a second. And for that to not be the case at all, for that to not affect Brock Purdy to the point where when he got the ball back down, he was able to go put the cherry on top, not just kick a field goal, which would have gotten them the lead, but lead a touchdown drive. That's what the playoffs is about. And you hope like every play, like you hope he never does that, right? But sometimes it happens in the playoffs. But if you have a chance to still win the game, is it going to make you hesitate on that next drive? That's always the question. Is it going to make you do things that are not of yourself because you're affected by the fact that you threw an interception? And in the case of Brock Purdy, hell no to both. He just goes back and keeps slinging it. And it's the best trait you can have in the playoffs. It's the thing that made Eli Manning so elite in the playoffs. The ability to just play that play for that play and be tough as all nails in the pocket and just stand in there and let that thing rip. That it's a real thing in the playoffs, man. It's a real thing to playing quarterback in the playoffs. But, Jalen Hurts sometimes wins Super Bowls too. So
I will say this. The Eagles scored twice in the second half. They got 2 field goals. One field goal, the drive started in 49ers territory after a 27-yard punt. And this second field goal they get because they get a BS penalty on Jalen Hurts when he's sliding, and they get a 15-yard penalty, which I thought was garbage. And everybody on the broadcast even said it was garbage. Without that penalty, I don't even think they even go down and get the field goal, Vish, but they do. So here we go. 19-17 Eagles. Brock Purdy gets the ball back. 8 minutes to go in the game. You are down. It is a got to have it drive for the 49ers and Brock Purdy. And boy, did they have it. And this was the only drive of the day where they didn't get an explosive play. Because I think Fangio was like, forget this, man. Let's see if they can beat us down the field for all these plays again and again. Let's see them go on a 10-play drive. And so that's exactly what Brock did. Kyle Juszczyk for 5 yards. Brock Purdy, beautiful scramble under pressure for 10 yards and a first down. He did get sacked on 2nd and 6, but there was a holding penalty by the Eagles, giving the 49ers a first down. Christian McCaffrey runs for 10. Kyle Juszczyk makes a great catch on 1st and goal on a ball that's a little bit behind him. They get to 3rd and goal. 3rd and goal, and I'm sitting there like, oh, my God, if we don't get this, is Kyle Shanahan going to go for it, or is he going to kick the field goal? I don't know. And what happens? Brock Purdy drops back to pass. No one is open. He feels the rush coming around the edge, just perfectly steps up, and Christian McCaffrey is wide open over the middle of the field. Brock puts it on him. Touchdown, 49ers. We have the lead, 23-19. Suck it, Eagles.
Yeah, and this is a play that's a riff off of an actual Madden play, like mesh traffic. It's in Madden in the 49ers playbook. The little running back leaks out the backside, and you have the mesh crossing routes to affect the middle of the field defenders. And to break that off and like scout yourself and bring this off of it where the guy comes across formation to the flat and then comes back inside, that's creative, that's unique, that's innovative, that's scouting yourself, that's Kyle Shanahan. But for this play to work, Brock Purdy has to be able to climb up and through the pocket and keep his eyes downfield. And that's what made this thing work. His pocket movement, we touched on it at the start of this show before we went through the whole game. It was great in this game. All the little things he avoided, all the little ways he was just staying upright and being so tough and steady. And he makes himself as big as possible at 6'1" in there. Especially, I feel like that's been a big point of emphasis for him since he's been in the NFL. How do I make myself as big as possible in that pocket despite being smaller in stature? And he goes ahead and does that. And this was just great pocket movement to climb up, step up in that pocket, and he wasn't going to miss that throw. What a freaking drive, man. What a freaking moment. Nothing will beat the Jennings to McCaffrey call. This was electric, but nothing will beat that. But like, holy cow, Rob. This was what it was like. Okay, Bryce Huff, please. I want to give you all energy I have in this moment. All I need from you is one quality rush. Please, Bryce Huff. That's what it turned into. Hands and knees prayer for Bryce Huff to come up with one pass rush.
Well, before we get to that, though, Niners Nation has the tweet. Brock Purdy is now tied for 6th all-time with the most game-winning drives in the playoffs with 4. The only active player with more game-winning drives in the playoffs than Brock Purdy is Patrick Mahomes. And if you need a reminder, Brock Purdy just turned 26 years old.
What a stat.
We don't know what's going to happen next week. Here's what we do know. Brock Purdy has lost 2 playoff games in his entire career. One are when his elbow exploded against the Eagles, and the other is the Super Bowl where Brock Purdy never left the field in fourth quarter or overtime without giving his team the lead. That's Brock Purdy in the playoffs.
That's right. And this Seattle matchup, it's going to be fun to watch. Punch them in the mouth. Whatever you were sniffing, those smelling salts, put them in the coffee of Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, and Dominic Purdy. Tell them that if we hit them early, we can spook Leonard Williams. Nobody has bullied Leonard Williams all year. Nobody has bullied Byron Murphy all year. Why not you guys? So, you're going to have to take it to them. Why not?
At this point, that should absolutely be the attitude. But
and when I say bully, they're not going to actually put Dominic Purdy man on man with Byron Murphy and he's going to move him. They're going to be very creative with how they set up angles and how they're going to block these guys. But they're going to have to go up the field with this run game. They're going to have to go between the tackles and all business up the field. And I think they have the ability to get a little physical. The thing that's always made the Niners special under Shanahan and what separated from them from the Rams is the Rams have great team speed. The Niners share that same team speed, but bring a different physicality to it. That wins in the playoffs, that translates in the playoffs. And this game versus Seattle is going to be all about physicality. If they could go in there and out-hit Seattle, Rob, which Seattle has been the bully all year, if they can punch them in the mouth, especially early, like before Seattle even knows coming off of their bye, like, oh, Niners are flying around, they're hitting us, they could scare Seattle.
Before we get to Seattle, we got to finish this last drive, Vish, because there's a little more.
It's Jalen Hurts, man. Everybody was like, yeah, this is going to end poorly.
Here's the thing that I want to talk about. 1st and 10, their drive down. They get to the 20-yard line. It is 1st and 10. Jalen Hurts drops back to pass, and he looks to run, and he's going to take off, and there's about 10 yards there. And as Astro points out, Keion White comes up to make the sack, technically, because I think he lost a yard on the play. So instead of him gaining potentially 10 yards, it is a sack. Keion White gets just enough of a shoestring tackle, and he brings down Jalen Hurts, made a massive difference in the game because now it's 2nd and 11. And Jalen Hurts did this a lot on 2nd down, taking deep shots on 2nd down when I don't think he necessarily needed to. He tries a deep pass here. It goes incomplete. And then you get to 3rd and 11 and 4th and 11. And the incompletion on 2nd down, Brady pointed out, he kind of makes his own pressure. He drops back to pass. There's a clean pocket, but he just rolls to the right because he wants to roll to the right. That forces pressure to him and cuts off half the field, and he throws an incomplete pass, and now you're in 3rd and 11, and the Niners are in good position. And on 3rd and 11, he throws incomplete over the middle. I don't know. It was never open. It was almost intercepted. The Eagles call a timeout, and I don't know if you noticed this, Vish. They call the timeout. They go to the sideline, and it's Patullo, Hurts, and Sirianni there. And Sirianni is not saying a word. Patullo and Hurts are talking. Sirianni's just sitting there. Finally, they both look to Sirianni. He says like one word. He kind of just like says like, he like shrugs. And then they go back out for 4th down. It was like, dude, you're the head coach. You got nothing to say. And what do the Eagles run on 4th and 11 with their season on the line? 4 verts. Everybody just run deep. That was
against Porter's coverage. Against Porter's coverage. And it's great depth by Eric Kendricks. He's able to get right under this and make a really nice play. I will say, Rob, I thought even the way they called the timeout was weird. They like lined up. Is that me?
Oh, yeah. Here, pop out and pop back in again real quick.
Oh, man.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened, but we got the echo. Don't worry. We'll get it straightened out. But I was just amazed that on 4th and 11, with your season on the line, you call 4 verts. Just run straight, and we'll throw it to you. Just a perfect microcosm of this Eagles offense just shooting itself in the foot. 4th and 11, 4 verts. That's our creative play.
Yeah, and on top of it, I will say the way they called that timeout, like they lined up on offense and they called the timeout usually where the way the defense calls it, where they see how you line up and the coach desperation runs down the sideline to call it. This was like Brady was like, wait, they can't be lining up like this with the timeout 4th and 11 per game. He's like, surely they're going to use the timeout. And then Sirianni comes down last minute. It's like, okay, timeout, timeout. Like, what should we do on this? Blah, blah, blah. I stand by it. I think it's a Jalen Hurts issue. I think Chris Sims nailed it. I think he's nailed it for 2 years now. It's a Jalen Hurts issue. It is what it is.
4th and 11. He throws over the middle. First of all, he had no pressure. He could have just sat back. No one is really open on the play. If you go watch no one's open, but he had time. He could have just sat back there and done a scramble drill and tried to see something. But it was like he was determined to just drop back and throw it. Goddard is never open in the middle of the field, not even close. Eric Kendricks almost intercepts it, but instead just knocks it away. Mustafa, I think, was there as well. And the game is over, essentially. The Niners get the ball back and kneel it down. How fitting that Eric Kendricks makes that play, Vish.
Well, how fitting it's nice that he's on the 49ers doing that instead of doing that to Jimmy Garoppolo. I will say, Rob, I'd like to put that out there for everybody who watches our show and you that I've officially forgave him. Eric Kendricks, I forgive you. I forgive you for going to the Cowboys and making my team sign Devondre Campbell. Like, you are now forgiven. I don't know if he knew, but I'm being the bigger person on this one, Rob. I'm setting my differences aside with Eric Kendricks. No, I'm totally joking. He was unbelievable in this game, and what an asset he's been to bring a veteran player that was that good at a point in his career onto the Niners and have him playing like that is amazing. Yeah, I will say the one thing for the Eagles offense is this is kind of who they are. Like, this is what he's capable of doing to me in the past game. I think Chris Sims nailed that. The difference was they were able to run the football in years past. And I want to say I thought he did a great job in New Orleans. And maybe it's just me being an adversary to the whole Ben Johnson hype. I like Kellen Moore a lot, and I'll tell you why, Rob. There's something with Kellen Moore where if you're a coordinator that has success with multiple head coaches, I pique my interest. And Kellen Moore had 2 top 10 offenses with 2 different head coaches. That's always a unique and successful trait I look at coordinators for being successful head coaches. Thought he did a good job in New Orleans, and I thought the big difference for Philadelphia this year to last year, yeah, Patullo sucks. Yeah, this was their pass game with Kellen Moore too. It struggled a lot. The difference was they had the greatest rushing season maybe in modern 2020s NFL history from Saquon Barkley, and they didn't produce that at all this year. So that's really their biggest issue. And I'm hoping that they take a year off from success and suck next year because I hate the Eagles, man. I hate them with a passion.
To go in and win this game, and not only win this game, but to be kneeling it out at the end of the game.
Oh, yeah. Big Dom.
Unbelievable. Eagles fans booing their team multiple times in the game. And if you're watching on the stream, the man you're seeing is Fred Warner, who put out on his Instagram today him doing football drills. It's like he's back at the combine again, Vish. He's doing like the side-to-side drills. He's tracking footballs down. Now, Kyle Shanahan said it's unlikely that they activate they open his practice window this week, but he is itching to come back. Clearly,
of course he is, right? Of course he is. When your team is playing for something like this and you love football as much as Fred Warner, like, of course he's trying to come back. But the wise thing to do is it's way too hard to join a football season at this point and keep up with that physicality, even if you are Superman like Fred Warner. Get him ready, get him to go next year, and let's ride with the freaking Garrett Wallow and Eric Kendricks, man. Let's see what they're bringing to us, because I'm excited going into the Seattle game. I know we've already been going for an hour and 30 minutes, Rob, but if we want to give a quick thoughts for next week, I'm really excited for how this matchup is going to look. I think Seattle is as tough as it gets. They're a real 1 seed. They're really good. Playing in Lumen is hard, but Rob, there's a few things with this matchup I like.
Well, here's what I'll say. The 49ers have played the Seahawks twice this year. They have given up 2 touchdowns in those games. And one was when they had all the King's horses and all the King's men. And the other one was when they didn't. So you can't even
attribute it. They rattled in both games. They haven't rattled many quarterbacks in the second half of the year. They've rattled one.
Sammy D, baby.
Yep.
At this point, how can you put it past them? I know that Kittle's not there. I get all of that. But this team just they don't die. Dieter Kurtenbach kept talking about in his column, you can't kill the 49ers. You can't kill the 49ers. I went to Game of Thrones last week, Vish. Do you remember I went to the Robert Baratheon? What's the bigger number, 5 or 1? That was my big Game of Thrones reference. I got another Game of Thrones reference ready to go for this one, and it comes off of Dieter Kurtenbach's column that he wrote right after the game. And it's pretty simple. What's dead can never die. That's the 49ers. Dieter called them the zombie 49ers because they just keep coming at you. That's where we are right now. They don't die no matter what happens. Bosa, Warner, Pearsall, Ayuk, now Kittle. What's dead can never die, baby.
They're gonna get a lot of. Oh, sorry, I ruined that. Do that again.
What is dead may never die.
There we go. They're gonna get a lot of coaches fired. I think a lot of owners are gonna be sitting on their couches, eating way too expensive caviar, sitting there thinking, hey, why is this Shanahan guy winning when all of Jed York's money is on injured reserve? How is he doing that? And maybe they'll look at it and say, we want to hire this Saleh guy. Maybe I was totally wrong. Maybe Robert Saleh is going to be the pick of the litter for the head coaching jobs. I still don't think that's the case. I don't think he's John Harbaugh, but maybe that's the case for him. But he's putting on a hell of a national statement. Like, whatever you can do with your opportunity to say, like, hey, look at me, he does it. And boy, does he do a good job when the camera gets on him. The intensity, everything he shows, he's just got unbelievable body language and presence.
That finish to that game, too, with the defense closing it out, like, he couldn't have asked for anything better.
With the beanie, and then when they get to him on after 4th and 11, the way he shows emotion, it's like, why even show Kyle? Kyle always got a scowl on his face. Kyle always looks frustrated.
Did you see the post-game speech afterwards in the locker room? It was as happy as I have seen Kyle Shanahan probably since the NFC Championship game against the Lions. He was huge smile on his face. He knew what this game was and what they were up against. And I think he knew, like, I just put on a friggin' masterpiece theater here, and we got it done. And that's got to be so satisfying because there's a part of him that thinks it was BS what happened in 2022. And look, the facts are in. When the 49ers don't lose all their quarterbacks, they don't lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. Period. End of sentence, regardless of anybody else that's on the field or not on the field. When all their quarterbacks are not injured, the Niners beat the Eagles every time.
Oh, absolutely. And they've played Seattle well in Seattle with Brock Purdy starting. That's been a thing. Or, I mean, I shouldn't even say Brock Purdy starting healthy because they beat them one of those times with Brock Purdy with broken ribs. They did do that in I think it was his second start, short week. So the Niners have had success doing that as well. And I love it too because I thought in that post game, it was just him being so natural. And that's what I really love about Kyle Shanahan. The rah-rah isn't natural to him, so he isn't inauthentic about it. And if I could make a tangential point, because there's a big in right now of talking about how good coaches are, because a lot of rookie coaches had big turnarounds, won a lot of games. Oh, Liam Cohen is one of the 10 best coaches in the sport. Ben Johnson is one of the 5 best coaches in the sport. For me, there's 2 things that I like to see with coaches. When they're coordinators, I always like to see if they have success with multiple head coaches. Rob, I think that's the most underrated thing because a lot of guys succeed when, hey, things are hot. Our coaches, we have a great roster. We have 2 years. Our coach is really aggressive that year. No one gets hurt. I parlay that into a head coaching job. And that's hard to do in the NFL. I don't want to take credit away from that, but consistent success above that is even harder. The other part to it is, how do you deal with, okay, now as a head coach, my roster changes. I have this guy this year, and this next year we paid these guys, so we don't really have the money. Like when I first came, we had all the money, all the first-round picks, and the GM spent on every single person I wanted. But now I'm 3 years into the job. We just paid our 3 first-round picks, and the owner says, I'm not spending. I got to work with this. How do I make decisions as a coach? And then on top of that, it's, oh, how do I adjust? And how do I adjust for like, hey, we were winning. We came out and did this. Now everybody is adjusted to us doing this. And now we've dealt with a little bit of losing. We were the plot armor heroes. Every bounce went our way. We won every close game. This year, we're just not winning close games. Like, How do you keep your energy? What is your consistency? What is your messaging in that? And I think what I like about Kyle, and this is where people are like, oh, he doesn't have the rah-rah in winning. He's not performatively taking his hat off and yelling good, better, best and ripping off his shirt. But guess what? That's why people don't lose belief in him in losing, because his message is the same when they win. When they lose, he stays the same. They move on to the next thing and they learn from it. When you do all of this when you win, when you stick your hand out like this for a handshake and you do all of this, guess what they're going to do, Rob, when you lose? They're going to start asking, where's that energy? Well, what are you going to do when you lose? Where's that swagger? Where's that confidence? And that turns on you so fast. What I love about the NFL and why I love these year-to-year evaluations is there's never a job that humbles you faster than the NFL. A.J. Brown spent an entire year commenting about, throw me the ball, throw me the ball, throw me the ball. And then they threw him the ball in the biggest game of the year and he dropped it. Now everybody's like, look at that, A.J. Brown. You asked for them to throw you the ball. They threw you the ball and you dropped it. It was so fast. 20 things could have gone wrong for A.J. Brown, but the karma, the timing of that, it comes and gets you in the NFL, man. And that's where when you do this type of stuff, when you do it when you're winning, this is what makes Kyle Shanahan to me a great coach. It's that personality. It's not the rah-rah of leadership when you lose or when you win, or it's not the rah-rah of leadership when you win. It's how you keep your voice and your team focused on what they need to be focused on when you lose as well. And he has done that remarkably well for 7 years. I mean, the things they've gone through as an organization, how many people would break from having to move your team for an entire month during COVID to a foreign city and say, we're going to live away from our families, guys, amongst each other. And for him to survive that, all of those things, he's an unbelievable leader. And I feel like people are only associated with one part of connecting with people. And oftentimes they associate the sport with what worked for me when I played sports and I was 8 or 9 years old and coach was, a 30-year-old dad. And he was like, come on, guys, you can do it. That's not real life. Like, how does your manager motivate you in your job? That's what these people are dealing with. These people are two adults trying to do a job together. They don't need Kyle to, light a fire under their ass. They got $20 million on the line to go play this game. They need Kyle to put them in the right position so they can do their job, keep their focus on the right things. What are the things we need to do to win this game? That's what this job is. That's what he does better than anybody. And that's why it's not just the scheme stuff. He's a phenomenal leader. And we never get to see it because his locker room clips are never good, better, best, and ripping his shirt off. But that's why this team stays believing in him when they lose. And that's what I'm excited to see. Man, how do these coaches who've had all this early success deal with losing? Because it kicks you in the ass really, really fast. It's hard to be that same guy when you're losing.
And now the 49ers are 2 games away from the Super Bowl, and every team left is the team the 49ers have already beaten this season. So let's go get it. Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, man. Oh, baby. And beat them in their house, by the way.
It's just a fact. Like, let's go see it. And we don't know what's going to happen, but I'll say this. Every time Kyle Shanahan goes to the playoffs, he makes the conference championship game at least, and he's got another chance to do it again. And we're going to be here with you, good, bad, ugly. Take this journey with us. It is a hell of a freaking ride, man, and I'm glad we're on it.
Oh, let's go, Rob.
Couldn't wait to talk to you.
Yes. Guys, Niners fans, this is the most enjoyable season we could have dreamed of. Let's enjoy this, baby. They're going for this. Oh my God, this is the way to go. Let's go, Rob. I'm excited to see you next Monday, buddy.
Hell yeah. The league put the game on Saturday because they don't give a crap about competitive balance. It's not just a Niners thing. They've done this since 2021, I think, every year. It's ridiculous that the Bills and the Niners play on Sunday and then have to play on a short week against teams coming off buys. I think that's insanity. The NFL does not care. They don't care about competitive balance at all. The times haven't been announced as of this show, but I think the Niners are going to have the late game on Saturday. That would be my guess. But whatever. Just keep stacking stuff against us because every time
I think it'll be 2, by the way.
You think it'll be the late game?
Yeah, no shot. Tony Romo and Jim Nantz are sacrificing not hosting the Bills-Broncos game. Like that's a CBS guarantee mid-afternoon.
Oh, I don't know, Jim. Oh, God, Tony Romo's so bad. But anyway, regardless, we will be here with you. There's over 500 people watching right now. Thank you so much. Like this video.
This is the year, Rob.
Let's go, baby. Subscribe to the channel if this is your first time checking us out. We're live every single weekday. We're live after every game. We're live after all Niners breaking news. We do a news update on the audio side as well every weekday morning with press conference clips, interview clips, injury reports, everything you need to know to be caught up on the team. It's a football buffet here at the 49ers Gold Standard. If you don't like the chicken, eat the fish. I promise. We got something you'll like. We're going to do a film breakdown on Thursday that we do every week with Johnny Dell. We're going to break down the highlights of this game. It's going to be super fun. We had Dan Soder, the comedian, on last week. He was tremendous. Incredible job by Dan. He's already said that he would come back if the Niners won. So I've already reached out to try to get him back this week. We got to do everything last week that we did. Got to keep it going. So we're rolling here at the 49ers Gold Standard. Give us a like and a subscribe. Vish, we have set the record officially for the longest podcast in Gold Standard history.
The Niners deserved it. We didn't do anything here. We're just doing our due service because that was a game that deserved 1 hour and 45 minutes of analysis. Actually, I'm crediting us too much. 1 hour, 45 minutes of whatever we said and however you choose to interpret it. But you know what? When the Niners do something like that, Rob, we deserve to give them their due. 1 hour and 45 minutes of their due. Let's freaking go, man.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night and go damn Niners.